What's going on, boys and girls? The one and only Black Avenger, aka the Black Azrael Lee Sanders, and you are checking out a special Call That Match edition of the RCWR Show for this Wednesday, March 18th, 2015. Come one, come all. I want to hear from you guys as I'm going to be offering match predictions for this year's WrestleMania card as if I were writing the entire show, if I were a booker slash writer. And, to my credit, I am a columnist. I do a lot of writing for a couple of websites, mainly my own website over at infinity1productions.com. And we got a little bit of echo, and hang on a second, guys. There we go. Let's just eliminate that. Sorry about that, guys. But yeah, I want you guys to interact with us. Post your comments down below. Hit us up on Twitter at the RCWR Show, Facebook at Infinity One Productions. That's Infinity with an E. Spell out one. I've been trying to hype this up like all week long, and I don't know what was going on, but the original link that I used to try to create the event, I don't know, for some reason I could not get into the master switchboard, the master control room, so that I can start the event and everything, because I pretty much made this like a week ago. I gave you guys a heads up about this, so hopefully you guys are able to find this new link just fine for those of you that's going to be looking for this live, as we're going to be live for the next little bit. Those of you checking out the recording, well, hey, you're checking out the recording, so you win regardless, right? All right, so without any further ado, let's go ahead. Let's jump right into it. All right, so WrestleMania is upon us. We are pretty much about a week and a half away from this year's WrestleMania, where I gotta admit there's been a good number of people that I've been talking to that's huge wrestling fans. They've been saying to me pretty much the same thing, which is, Lee, I don't really know about this year's WrestleMania. I don't really know if this is something that I'm going to be checking out this year. Maybe I'll just go on ahead and check out the wrestling website or watch Raw the night after WrestleMania to find out what's going on. A lot of people don't really feel this WrestleMania card is really as stacked up as it can be. And to each its own, I definitely feel that there's a couple of matches of great interest that could make WrestleMania be, without a doubt, worthwhile. And on that note, some of these matches that I'm looking at, and I've been pumped up to talk about this WrestleMania card for a good minute now. So don't worry, we aren't going to be talking about WrestleMania 31 for like 45 minutes. I mean, the way it's looking right now, there's a lot of matches that we're going to be able to just kind of jump over because we can, and we will. But this WrestleMania card, in my honest opinion, definitely has the greatest potential to, how can I put this? Put great relevance on certain divisions, right? Marinate on that. So first off, let's tackle the Andre the Giant Memorial Trophy, or the Battle Royal for the Andre the Giant Memorial Trophy. We have Bad News Barrett that's in there. R-Truth. Oh, well, I'm sorry, guys. Nobody's in that. There hasn't been any names that's been announced just yet. I was jumping ahead a little bit looking at the next match there. I apologize, guys. Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal match. So it's the second annual Andre the Giant Memorial match. I have had a little bit of time to marinate on who do I think should win this one. I'm just going to give you three picks. I'm going to say either Mark Henry, Kane, or Big Show. Those are my three names that I expect to win it all. I'm not going to jump any more into it. I know some people are probably looking at this particular match and are saying, well, Lee, would you entertain the idea of maybe Sheamus returning at WrestleMania and, maybe he can do something? I have been talking about maybe Sheamus is going to return at WrestleMania, but If I was booking this show and everything, I actually would save Sheamus until the night after WrestleMania. I would save him for Raw. Raw needs all the sizzle, crackle, pop that it can get. I would save him for that. So I would actually not have Sheamus return at WrestleMania, although it would be a nice, good spot of all the places to return. It would be great. Would be great to see him pop up and return in the Andre the Giant Memorial match, but I'm saving him for Raw. That's how I would do it. So I would definitely home in on Mark Henry, Kane, or Big Show to win it. As far as maybe a NXT guy debuting and maybe being involved in that match, no. At this point, so many people are talking about NXT. They are just in love with the product and everything. The last thing I think needs to happen is you take a really good up and comer from the NXT roster that's doing pretty well for themselves on that show, put them in the match, and they don't come out on top. I mean, if you're gonna put an NXT person in there, then I think that NXT person needs to win without a doubt. So, I mean, let's say, for example, powers that be, maybe they decide they want to put Sami Zayn in there, or maybe they want to put Kevin Owens in there. I highly doubt, but just hypothetically speaking, no matter how you cut it, you just look at what's going on with that current NXT roster. You have to put a popular NXT star in there. You can't go with what's those guys, the vaudevillains. You can't go with them because nobody's really going to know about them and nobody's really probably going to care about them. So you got to kind of go with somebody from the NXT roster that has a little bit of name value or does have some type of significant value. And unfortunately, when you put them in that type of a match, the Andre the Giant Memorial match, that is, kind of devalues them a little bit. Just my honest opinion, to each its own. So those three guys, Mark Henry, Kane, Big Show, those are your guys. One of them I expect to win that match. Let's continue on. I want to tackle the Divas match next. AJ Lee and Paige teaming up to take on the Bella Twins. Just a traditional tag team match, the way things are looking right now. Now, I don't know if you guys are a little bit curious, but I couldn't help but kind of say to myself, was the women's championship defended at last year's WrestleMania? And those of you that may be having a little bit of a hard time jogging your memory, no. As a matter of fact, at last year's WrestleMania for the women's division, it was actually AJ Lee defeating Naomi, as it was. Oh, you know what? Correction. I'm thinking of a previous match. AJ Lee, yeah, she did defend the women's championship, as there was a Vicky Guerrero invitational match for the Divas championship. Some people may feel that match doesn't really count because it was only 6 minutes long. It wasn't really an actual match. It was definitely one of two shortest matches for that year's WrestleMania, but the belt did make an appearance at that event. Now, those of you that might be a little bit curious, what about the year before? At that respected WrestleMania, did the Divas Championship make a appearance there? Way it's looking right now, survey says no. 2 years ago, the Women's Championship was not defended at WrestleMania. Are you guys kind of seeing a little bit of a pattern here? If you're not, that's okay. Let's go with WrestleMania 28. How many of you all think that the Women's Championship was on the line? Survey says no. It was a tag team match. So do you guys see the pattern that's going on right here? At least from what I'm kind of noticing, it kind of seems like every other year the championship belt is being defended, and then we're getting some type of a tag match after that. Let's go one more WrestleMania back. Let's go to WrestleMania 24. How many of you all think that maybe for sure the belt was defended there? Y'all remember that one? First time The Rock had hosted WrestleMania, yeah? Survey says, according to my notes here, doesn't even look like the girls made an appearance. Oh, yeah, they did. Well, it was a tag match, but it was a 6-person mixed tag match. Remember that one? It was John Morrison, Trish Stratus, and Snooki taking on Lay Cool and Dolph Ziggler. One of 2 shortest matches on that respected WrestleMania card. So you guys kind of see the pattern that's going on. There's either a tag match or there's a championship match the year after. So it seems like it's alternating here. I'm actually a little bit disappointed that the Divas Championship match is not going to be on the line, as you've been hearing a lot about this whole give Divas a chance, blah, blah. I was not buying that Kool-Aid whatsoever. It was kind of like, oh, well, that's kind of nice. It got trended and everything, and kudos to the person that put that hashtag out there. I'm sure they were in cloud nine when they were like, oh man, my tweet got favorited and retweeted by, and they probably got a boatload of new followers as a result. But you know, if WWE really means well with the whole give Divas a chance. Now look, I said this a couple of weeks ago, 3 of the Divas in this AJ Lee and Paige taking on the Bella Twins match can wrestle their behinds off pretty damn good, I think. I'll let you all marinate and figure out which one is the weakest link for that one. And honestly, if you're not going to have the Divas Championship be on the line, you got to at least make sure that those girls get enough time to tell their story. For Christ's sake, we're talking a 4+ hour extravaganza. Surely you can give these girls more than 2 minutes to make their point. And from what we've been seeing the past couple of weeks with some of these Divas matches, ever since the whole give Divas a chance thing, it kind of seems like Divas have been getting a little bit more camera time, and the wrestling has been a little bit more elevated. So honestly, if you're not going to have the Divas title be on the line, you better have those girls represent. Of course, if it was me booking things, personally, I would set it up in a way where we would see AJ Lee and Paige defeat the Bella Twins. Nikki's very hot-headed, and she's like, well, I'm still the Divas champion, so or whatever like that. And I would like to see AJ Lee or Paige try to challenge Nikki right there on the spot to put her money where her mouth is and defend the belt one-on-one. And then basically you go right into the Divas Championship match. If I could have it my way, I would actually love to see Paige take on Nikki. AJ has held that bad boy more than enough times. She just hasn't been the same ever since she got pulled from being the Raw GM and all that. But, she can. I really want for her to get back into the groove of things. Of course, it's not all on her shoulders. It's all on the writers, creative, and all that. But I would love to kind of see her get back to that point where she was just so white hot and the crowd was all in favor of her. And, now it's kind of hard to tell if the crowd is really in her favor, because you hear the CM Punk chants and it's kind of like, okay, is that being done out of respect to her, or are they just trying to tell her they want CM Punk back, that they could care less about this match, they could care less about her, and it is what it is. But that's how I would set it up. I would actually have 2 matches take place, and both times I would actually have the team of AJ Lee and Paige go over to Bella's, and then as far as Nikki versus Paige, I would actually have Nikki retain. I am really behind Nikki Bella as a Divas champion. I've just been really, really pleased with her athletic ability the past several months. I mean, the Divas division as it is, but in particular the Bella Twins, and in particular Nikki Bella. She's come a long way, and it's hard to believe that the Bellas have been in the WWE now for what's that? I think on Monday Night Raw we heard that they've been with the WWE now for about 8 years. I mean, if that's really the case. My, how time flies! I thought it was a little shorter than that. I thought maybe it was about 5, maybe 6 years. But if it's 8, my God, time has flown by. But if that whole Divas match were not to go down, I would definitely have to say, and I'm trying to be realistic here. I don't know. I just feel like the Divas division, the championship. I feel like the championship needs to make an appearance at this WrestleMania, but yeah, I don't think they're gonna do it. I don't think they're gonna pull the trigger. I could be wrong, but that's how I would write things. That's how I would book it. But looking at it from the traditional standpoint of what we've been getting the past several years, as far as the tag team match itself goes, I can see AJ and Paige picking up the victory. Next match, Randy Orton, Seth Rollins. We got one more Raw left before WrestleMania. I'm still not really reeled into this match, if you will, especially after what we had saw from Monday Night Raw, where it looked as though Randy Orton was going to get his hands on Seth Rollins. As you see what went down last week, Randy Orton just beat the holy crap out of Seth Rollins. And then you hear, oh, I'm going to challenge him to a match at WrestleMania. It's like, why challenge him to a match at WrestleMania? You beat the tar out of him for 15 minutes. What's the point in checking out this match? I'm having a little bit of a hard time processing this match. It'd be one thing if some type of a scenario had came about where Seth Rollins went to the Authority and he said to them, did you see what Randy Orton did to me? And that's exactly what I was expecting to go down. I was expecting Seth Rollins to go to the Authority this past Monday and basically whine and cry and say he wants Randy Orton at all costs, make it happen. And I was looking for the Authority to say to him, well, if you want this match, I mean, we'll go on ahead and, we'll gladly give it to you. But just know that if you don't come through, not only is it going to make us look bad, but I mean, it's definitely maybe going to make us reevaluate this whole face of the WWE type of thing. I would kind of like to see the Authority maybe kind of put those little seeds out there, to the point that maybe they're a little bit, I don't want to say irritated, but maybe they're starting to become a little bit exhausted, if you will, with Seth Rollins, because he's become such a workload to deal with. He's become such a diva, if you will, to deal with. So I'm having a little bit of a hard time processing this match. Now, some people kind of feel as though, well, maybe the Money in the Bank briefcase will get put on the line. Maybe that's how you make things a little more interesting. I don't really think that's needed. I think the Money in the Bank briefcase needs to stay right where it is, which is with Seth Rollins. I do see him as the future of the WWE. I think he's going to be a great champion. He's really come a long way from his days in the Shield. Quite honestly, when I look back on Dean Ambrose, Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns in the Shield, we said it right here on this show. Honestly, I felt in my heart of hearts that what was probably going to be the weakest link out of the Shield was Seth Rollins. I felt as though in some shape or form, maybe he was going to need to continue it with a new entourage, as I looked at Dean Ambrose and Roman Reigns being the true breakout stars. But I mean, he's really, really coming to his own very well. Somebody asked the question, well, Lee, what if Seth Rollins cashes in successfully at that, the Money in the Bank briefcase at WrestleMania? One idea that I've been pitching, and someone said, would that maybe put a little bit of devalue into Roman Reigns? After all, the way that WWE is building him up, he's supposed to be like the future and everything. A little bit conflicting considering you have Seth Rollins with the Money in the Bank briefcase. What's going on right here? I'll figure all that out, or we'll talk about it rather when we get to that main event match between Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar. But for Randy Orton taking on Seth Rollins, uh, yes, we saw the man give Seth Rollins a beatdown. To me, if I was booking this, I would actually have Seth Rollins go over Randy Orton. And just because Seth Rollins would go over Randy Orton, it wouldn't mean that their feud would be over. I could maybe see one more match go down between these guys at the very next pay per view. But after that, I mean, it depends. It depends. I mean, on paper, everything we've been seeing the past couple of weeks, you just think about these two guys on paper, they probably have about maybe two, possibly three more matches in them that could carry over to some additional pay-per-views. I wouldn't mind, but I don't know. The beating that Seth Rollins took last week, I got to see Seth Rollins go over. Undertaker, Bray Wyatt. Should be an interesting match right here. What condition is the Undertaker going to be in? Haven't seen the Undertaker since his devastating defeat at the hands of Brock Lesnar. Do you truly have the Undertaker go into this match against Bray Wyatt and suffer another defeat? No, because that would be very, very conflicting when you think about that main event match between Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar. Remember, Brock Lesnar is supposed to be the one in 21 or however the hell he says it. My numbers are a little off tonight, but no, he that does not make any sense. So basically, Brock Lesnar is the guy behind 21-2 or something like. No, it just sounds silly. Or 20-1. No, you don't do that. I think Undertaker is going to come back and he's going to win. Hands down. I don't really see any type of a strong indication that Bray Wyatt would be able to defeat The Undertaker. Now, that would be a great swerve if you had The Undertaker lose. But again, you got to go back to that Brock Lesnar match. Because if you have Bray Wyatt defeat The Undertaker, then more people are going to be talking about the fact that, hey, at WrestleMania, Bray Wyatt defeat The Undertaker. He's the second person in WrestleMania history to defeat The Undertaker on the grandest stage of them all. So I don't know about you guys, but that just seems like, booking-wise, that just doesn't really make that much sense. So you got to have Undertaker go over. Rusev versus John Cena, United States Championship. So here we go. We are now at, what is this, Rocky 5 now. Sylvester Stallone taking on Dolph Lundgren. America versus Russia. I'm excited for this match, and I'm going to tell you the reason why. Because with this match and the ladder match for the Intercontinental Championship match, I feel that these two matches in particular are going to be for their. Let's start with the United States Championship. You think about that United States title, you think about the long list of men that have held that championship belt. I could take you guys on a history cruise, but I mean, my God, man, when you think about the list of champions, just off the break, I'll give you guys a list of guys that have held the belt. Harley Race, John, Terry Funk, Blackjack Mulligan, Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, Ric Flair, Sergeant Slaughter, Greg the Hammer Valentine, Roddy Piper. I mean, my God, Wahoo McDaniel. You got so many names that's out there. So many great men, great ambassadors for the sport of professional wrestling. at one point held that United States Championship. So there's a lot of history involved with that. And, honestly, if I dare say, and I'm going to jump out there, may be very controversial, may get people talking about some other stuff, may have people give me a dislike. I don't care. I'm calling it for what it's worth from the wrestling aspect of it and just creatively. The last time the United States Championship was even relevant, two individuals come into mind that held the United States title. MVP when he was feuding with Matt Hardy. And then before that, when Chris Benoit had the United States Championship. Say what you will, but I think we all can be in agreement. Wrestling ability wise and all that period that was going on with Benoit as the United States champion, it was fun and freaking exciting watching him defend that belt. I mean, that man defended it pretty much anytime, anywhere. I mean, he was a damn good champion. But it seems like after we kind of got past those points, the United States Championship belt, it's just kind of been floating there. It's just been in purgatory. And who would have thought that an NXT guy, Rusev, would come in? And I got to tell you, it was a good slow burn with Rusev. It took a while for me to come on over and be like, I like Rusev. This character rocks. He's badass. And I was so against when they first brought him up. I just wasn't buying into it. And, as the months progressed, and I don't know, I guess just the combination of with the writers and creative, and of course, ultimately the talent themselves, Rusev, we're all doing together. It just kind of seemed like as time progressed, okay, this isn't working, let's take this out. But this is working, so let's leave this in. And I love the build that they've done of this like unstoppable freaking juggernaut. And here he is, WrestleMania, great high profile match against John Cena. It's probably going to be a good, decent payday for Rusev. Sadly, I see his streak coming to an end. I see that United States Championship belt leaving hands and going to John Cena. And honestly, I'm fine with that. That United States Championship belt, I need to see it go to the point of good long title reigns, defenses. I need to see the value of it get worked back up. And Rusev has definitely, and the writers as well, everybody involved, they need to be given a lot of props for where they've been able to elevate the United States Championship belt up to this point. John Cena has been a multi-time champion and all that, so much so he really does not need to touch the WWE World Heavyweight Championship belt again, not unless he's getting ready to retire. And quite honestly, I think we're at that point right now where he's done as a champion, unless he's going to get that one last run. So him becoming the United States champion definitely makes the United States belt value-wise, it skyrockets it, puts more attention on it to the point that whoever is able to beat him next, you can maybe make that argument, well, maybe this guy's going to be the next WWE World Heavyweight Champion. Just a little food for thought right there. John Cena, I got him defeating Rusev. Let's go on to our next match. We just talked about one title match. We got to talk about that United States, not the United States, the Intercontinental ladder match, if you will. Seeing Scott Hall, he's been putting a lot of tweets out there saying, hey, you boys in this ladder match for the IC title, represent, man. We got Bad News Barrett defending against R-Truth, Dean Ambrose, Luke Harper, Dolph Ziggler, Stardust, Daniel Bryan. Why does Daniel Bryan scream at me? I mean, just the fact that of all the belts that Daniel Bryan has won, as we heard on Raw, it was either this past Monday night or the week before, Daniel Bryan said that of all the belts he's won since he's been in the WWE, he's never held the Intercontinental Championship. Bad News Barrett has been a Intercontinental Champion multiple times. R-Truth has been a champion multiple times. Luke Harper has been the Intercontinental Champion. Dolph Ziggler, multiple times. Stardust, Goldust, whatever you want to call him. He's been a champion a couple of times. Intercontinental Champion at that. Dean Ambrose, he has been the United States Champion, but I don't believe he's won the Intercontinental Championship. I'm actually looking right now. Yeah, since he's been in the WWE, the only title he's won is the United States Championship, and that was one time. So, Dean Ambrose or Daniel Bryan? Interesting situation right there. Man, if it was me, I would actually put the belt on Daniel Bryan. I think we're really getting to that point right now where, with regards to the Intercontinental Championship, I think we're kind of getting to that point right now where, and we've heard in many interviews that Triple H has given over the years how much that IC belt means to him. Of course, you guys have probably heard the stories, and if you haven't, basically, back in the day, whoever had that IC belt, they were like the next guy. And then you had those situations where a lot of times on pay-per-views or main event matches, you had the World Heavyweight Championship belt on the line, and it's kind of like, yeah, that match was good, but what really had people talking was the IC belt. And I think with regards to that, Daniel Bryan, he may not be in the main event for the World Heavyweight belt, but I tell you what, man, him being the Intercontinental Champion, I'm buying into that. I'm just thinking about all the fresh matchups that this guy can have as the IC champion just over the course of the next several months, pretty much like going all the way into SummerSlam, as eventually I kind of see Daniel Bryan dropping the strap to somebody right before WrestleMania to maybe give a title shot at SummerSlam. And when I say title shot, I'm talking about a shot at the main belt. Marinate on that for a little bit. You guys should be able to read between the lines, see where I'm going with that one. But I got Daniel Bryan winning the Intercontinental Championship. I think the guy is very deserving. And I know that there's probably so many people that's out there. They were really buying into the whole idea. He comes back at the Royal Rumble, wins it, goes to WrestleMania, becomes champion again. Wow, fairy tales do become reality if you work hard enough or whatever, however you want to say it. We got a couple of more matches left. I think now we have, two matches left. All right. So, Sting, Triple H. Do I really need to go in depth on this one? I don't really think I need to. I mean, for me, feels like a foregone conclusion that Sting needs to win this. This is his in-ring WWE debut match. Triple H has a very good track record in putting other people over at WrestleMania. So I think the real story that we need to be saying to ourselves is, how is Sting going to get this victory? Just how clear cut is this victory going to be? Is it going to be a situation where Triple H basically tells other members of the authority that he does not need their help, that he's going to go at this alone, one-on-one? Or is this a situation where Triple H tries to stack the deck against Sting? If it were me and I were writing this, I were booking this show, I would actually have at some point during this match, when it's looking as though Triple H is about to get his ass handed to him, I would actually have Big Show, Kane, J&J Security, Stephanie McMahon. I would actually have all of them be at ringside at one point. Don't make it be so obvious and basically have the match open up with them surrounding the ring or whatever, because that really kind of gives it away. You know, when it comes to WrestleMania, for a lot of us over the years, WrestleMania has been one of those events where big and epic story arcs, they come to an end at WrestleMania. But I would like to see a scenario kind of play out where it's not as clear cut as many people would think it's going to be. Well, Sting and Triple H, you're just going to fight each other one on one. Nobody's going to interfere. Sting's going to, even more the reason why you throw a little bit of an element of surprise in there, I think. So, somewhere midway, or while there's maybe about 5 minutes left of the match, you got to put the Authority out there and have it look as though they're trying to screw Sting. You can distract the referee, you could do whatever. Honestly, I would love to see Randy Orton come in there, deliver some RKOs, or hell, I'll do one even better than that. You don't even necessarily have to go the Randy Orton route just by himself. You could do a combination of Randy Orton, Dolph Ziggler, Ryback, Eric Rowan, not Luke Harper. You can't put but it makes a little sense to me when you think about it, because in some shape or form, Sting's kind of connected to those guys. Definitely with Dolph Ziggler after helping him out at the Survivor Series pay-per-view and everything like that. So just from a writing standpoint, it would kind of make a little bit of sense for Dolph Ziggler to maybe feel compelled to come out and say, hey, when all chips were down, Sting had my back. He helped out our team at Survivor Series. I gotta try to, and then maybe you can deal with the fallout of that interference on Raw the next night. But that's how I would book it. All right. And as far as who comes out on top, again, Sting would be the one to come out. Now, if they decide they want to just do the one-on-one thing, which is probably what they're going to do, shame on them if they do that. Either way, Sting walks out victorious. One last match. Brock Lesnar, Roman Reigns, WWE World Heavyweight Championship on the line. Should I stay or should I go? That's a song, by the way. Brock Lesnar, man, the $1 million question. Is he staying with the WWE or is he leaving? I mean, we've been hearing all these reports that's been going on left and right. And we have people that don't work for the WWE that's saying, well, according to my information, this is how it's going on. This is how it's going down, and this is what I believe, and blah this, blah that, and everybody's just kind of like, I don't care about all that. I really don't. Would I care big time if Brock Lesnar leaves? Yeah, I will admit it. If it turns out this is his last match and he rolls out, I'd be a little bit sad because it just kind of feels like we're getting more appearances out of him, and it's getting to that point now where it's kind of like, hey, it's kind of cool that Brock Lesnar is the champion or whatnot. And I said this on this show a long time ago when Brock Lesnar first became champion. I say, you know what? I'm fine with that. Maybe it's going to have some type of a territorial feel to it, where it's going to be special when you get to see the champion, because the champion is basically going to just make sporadic appearances, but maybe he's going to show up at the pay-per-views once a month, defend the crown, roll out, that's it. And they haven't exactly been doing that. But I will give them credit. They've been stepping up the past several weeks with the number of Brock Lesnar appearances. And the big question, Roman Reigns, is he ready? We've talked about this many weeks. He's not ready. No, he's not. Does he deserve to be the one to defeat a man that defeated Undertaker at last year's WrestleMania and took away his undefeated streak. Does Roman Reigns need to be that man that beat the other man? Think about that for a minute. Does he need to be the man to beat the man that beat the other man? If I'm booking this, no, I would not have Roman Reigns defeat Brock Lesnar. And I'm going to tell you the exact reason why. He's not quite ready. And I love how they're doing this whole not ready. I can't. I will. Yeah, I like how they're kind of doing that. So much so they've made a T-shirt out of it and all that. But if I got to be brutally honest, Seth Rollins is more ready than Roman Reigns. And that's the honest truth. Next question. Does Seth Rollins cash in his Money in the Bank briefcase at this WrestleMania? I have been waiting patiently to see somebody cash in the Money in the Bank briefcase at a WrestleMania on a champion to walk out as the new champion. Is Seth Rollins the one that can pull that off? Yes. Only other person I could see that could pull something like that off no longer works in the WWE, at least as a in-ring performer, and that's Edge. How I miss Edge. Edge would be perfect right about now for that Money in the Bank cash in, but Seth Rollins cashing in. If I were booking this, I gotta say I'd make it very damn interesting. I would have WrestleMania end on a very good note. I would have that match between Brock Lesnar, Roman Reigns be very exhausting as hell, very physical. I would have Seth Rollins come in. I would have him cash in that Money in the Bank briefcase. And that's how I would end WrestleMania. I know a lot of people would be pissed off and everything like that, but it's kind of nice to shake things up, you know? But let's go back to Brock Lesnar. Hearing the reports that possibly, and I don't know how accurate this is, so take this with a grain of salt, getting reports that Triple H is really trying to push for Brock Lesnar to retain the championship. He's really trying to push this hard on Vince. So supposedly when you hear that, you're kind of saying to yourself, well, is WWE maybe kind of getting to a point where they have reached some type of an agreement with Brock Lesnar? Is he going to stick around? You know, and if so, does that mean that Brock Lesnar will just continue to operate in the role that he's operating in now? And honestly, that would be smart if they continue to have Brock Lesnar be the champion. I mean, if anything, why not maybe have him drop the strap at SummerSlam? You can have him maybe drop it to one Daniel Bryan, or better yet, maybe, and this is now that I'm putting this out there, this would kind of make a little bit more sense. You could have Brock Lesnar take on Daniel Bryan at SummerSlam, and then Seth Rollins cashes in the Money in the Bank briefcase, which would thus make him become champion. Because I could see him maybe somehow screwing Daniel Bryan to do it. But then wouldn't that kind of be like repeating history again a little bit? Because if I'm not mistaken, a couple of years ago, there was a situation that went down just like that, and Randy Orton cashed in on Daniel Bryan. So maybe we'd kind of be repeating history a little bit. Not to mention, is WWE still enforcing the time limit as far as how long that person has to cash in the Money in the Bank briefcase? Notice we haven't heard, hey, this person has a whole year. We haven't heard that. Now, as of past couple of years, it's just been, hey, they won the Money in the Bank briefcase. They can cash in the champion. They can cash in the briefcase for a shot at the championship belt anytime, any place. Used to be within a year, but they just kind of threw that out. So do you maybe keep toying around with Seth Rollins as a Money in the Bank briefcase holder. I don't know. I don't know. Because, I mean, your next pay per view after WrestleMania is going to be Extreme Rules. And then after that, see, you got Payback. Money in the Bank is not hitting until June. So, I mean, do you maybe have Seth Rollins hold on to his briefcase until that point? Here's an even more elaborate idea right here. Do you maybe have Seth Rollins hold on to his Money in the Bank briefcase all the way up until this year's Money in the Bank pay-per-view? And man, there's a thought right there. How badass would it be if a scenario where it came about where Seth Rollins cashes in the Money in the Bank briefcase at the pay-per-view, loses, but then the final match is for Money in the Bank. He wins that, and maybe he cashes in that briefcase the same night and becomes champion. Poof! I just like poof. You all's minds right there. An interesting thought right there. Something to marinate on. I'm reaching, but I don't know when you really think about it. Interesting idea right there. It's too close to call, man. This is too close to call. I don't know what direction I want to go with regards to this Brock Lesnar, Roman Reigns. I'm kind of leaning more towards, man. Part of me is screaming Seth Rollins cashes in on Money in the Bank and he becomes champion at WrestleMania. We haven't seen it done before. He's the right guy to do it. I'm going to say Brock Lesnar retains, but it's going to be one grueling contest. I got Brock Lesnar just barely able to come out of that. I don't see Brock Lesnar doing Roman Reigns like John Cena. I mean, they're going to be slugging it out. It's going to be like Colossus versus Juggernaut. They are going to be duking it out big time. And when it's all said and done, Lesnar is just barely going to be able to escape. Perfect situation. Seth Rollins comes in, cashes in that damn briefcase. It should be interesting to see how that Randy Orton Seth Rollins match comes about. Because honestly, one could make the argument that if Randy Orton defeats Seth Rollins could possibly have the last laugh and become champion later that night on WrestleMania. I mean, that's really something to think about. So I'm going to get away from the traditional, and I know there's probably a lot of people on here that's giving their WrestleMania predictions, and a lot of people are probably like, Brock Lesnar's going to retain. I doubt that many of them are really going in depth about the Money in the Bank cash in if it's going to happen at WrestleMania. But I've been saying this for a couple of years now. There's got to be a successful cash in at WrestleMania. And I think Seth Rollins, other than Edge, is the man to do that. All right, so one more time, looking at your projected winners for this year's WrestleMania. We'll take it from the bottom and work our way to the top. So, yeah, we don't know what's going on with the tag team match right now. I almost forgot. It looked as though at some point we were going to have some type of I don't know if it was going to be a fatal four-way or what, but at some point it looked like the tag belts were possibly going to be on the line, but it looks like one of the Usos is injured. There's no telling if they'll be able to participate in something like that. But we do have the pre-show. And the pre-show, you got me thinking right now, Usos are not the tag champions. You still have Tyson Kidd and Cesaro. And from what I'm looking at right now, there's no pre-show that's been announced yet. But I mean, I would think for the pre-show, the tag belts are going to make some type of an appearance. So, I mean, it's not officially on the card right now, so I really don't have to talk about it. But pre-show, I would think And it's probably going to be an hour-long pre-show at that. I would think the tag belts are going to be on the line. Cesaro, Kid, I got them retaining. All right. All right. So let's take this from the bottom, work our way up to the top. So for the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal match, that's a long-ass name. Too close to call for me. I'm homing it in on a Big Show, Mark Henry Kane. Randy Orton taking on Seth Rollins after the devastating beating that Randy Orton gave Rollins 2 weeks ago. I got to see Seth Rollins somehow wiggle his way out with a victory. I don't think it's going to be a clear-cut Randy Orton gets his revenge at WrestleMania. AJ Lee and Paige, I have them successfully winning against the Bella Twins, although I wouldn't be surprised if afterwards it turned into a Divas Championship match. Let's see, Undertaker versus Bray Wyatt. I have Undertaker coming back with a thunderous win over the Monster World of Eaters, or whatever he's calling himself. I'll call him Cape Fear. I love that movie, by the way. Let's see, Rusev, John Cena. Cena becomes the new United States champion. Meanwhile, Daniel Bryan will become the new Intercontinental champion. Sting, definitely he'll get his win over Triple H, but note how I talked about the booking for that particular match. Midway into the match or towards the end, when it just looks like there's been too many close calls for Triple H to be at the receiving end of a defeat, look for members of the Authority to come out. Maybe Sting gets a little bit of help from Randy Orton, Dolph Ziggler, Ryback. It's possible. And for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship match, very close to call right here. But I think when it's all said and done, I think Brock Lesnar is barely going to be able to come out with the retain. But don't be too surprised if a certain person with a briefcase cashes in to shock a lot of people. I think WWE, they need to bring it as far as the shock factor goes. And they definitely need to try to match what they did at last year's WrestleMania when Undertaker's streak came to an end. I don't think many people will be seeing a cash-in coming at WrestleMania. I think it would be a very smart move if they went on ahead and they pulled the trigger. I think it would be totally freaking awesome. Minus the cash-in, Brock Lesnar retains, but if it was me setting this up, I would actually have Brock Lesnar retain, Seth Rollins cashes in. And honestly, for me, the way I would do it like that, I mean, look at it like this. The reason why I'm projecting it the way that I'm projecting it, look at it this way. If Seth Rollins cashes in, then that obviously means that WWE and Brock Lesnar maybe, just maybe now, they weren't able to come to terms on the new deal, and that is still ongoing. They're still negotiating. So kind of makes a little bit of sense to take the belt off of him so that they can try to see if they can work something out, right? Makes a little bit of sense. And then if you are able to work something out, then, you know, great. Maybe you can have him work a program with Seth Rollins at the next pay-per-view or skip a couple of pay-per-views, whatever. If Brock Lesnar retains, writers, creative does not do a cash-in, then obviously that sends a very strong message that Brock Lesnar's here and he's here to stay. And hey, I'm fine with that. I know some people probably might not be fine with that, but it's going to be a very interesting match. I think that's the match that's going to have a lot of people talking. And then the X Factor. I can't believe I almost forgot about that. Paul Heyman. What's his role in all this? Does he maybe try to join sides with Roman Reigns? Does he maybe work out some type of a deal where he betrays Brock Lesnar? I mean, we've seen Paul Heyman betray Lesnar before when he sided with Big Show. I know you guys remember that one. Does that happen, or is this a situation where maybe Paul Heyman makes Roman Reigns an offer that he can't refuse? And as one of our listeners suggested, is it possible that Paul Heyman could have a new Paul Heyman client and Roman Reigns while still being the client for Brock Lesnar? Talk about a new deadly alliance right there. Read between the lines on that one, those of you that know your Paul Heyman history. All right, so before we go, I just want to give a nod to some of you guys that's commenting right now. And if you guys want to talk WrestleMania, give me your match predictions. Post those thoughts down below. And let's see what we got right here. Dawn, what's up, Dawn? If Seth Rollins cashes in Money in the Bank at SummerSlam, that will be the third year where the Money in the Bank cashed in at SummerSlam. The first time was 2011, Alberto Del Rio. The second was Orton, Daniel Bryan. And if Seth cashes in at SummerSlam, it will be a third. So maybe they kind of need to kind of lay off of that then, right? Right. Let's see what else we got here. King Arms thinks that, according to him, the way he would book it, he'd love to have Brock win, have a year build to Mania, Brock versus Roman 2. Yeah, if he's not ready by then, King would go on to say after Mania, I'd have Roman lose for about 2 weeks, then give him a month off, then make him return, as his sole aim is to get to Brock at Mania, kind of like Shawn Michaels and Undertaker's build. Interesting. Austin Lee, what do you think about some WCW alumni coming out to help Sting? You know, they had an opportunity there with Booker T. If they would have stuck with that whole you're fired thing and all that, then I probably could entertain that. But no, I don't. Now there's some interesting shock value right there. What if Eric Bischoff made a cameo in there and he helped out Sting? Talk about a good way to stick it to the game Triple H. I don't know. Maybe give Eric Bischoff a call. I like that idea. If you're going to have somebody get involved, if you're going to have a WCW alumni get involved in there, I like that idea. I like that. See, I'm skimming ahead here. Don has something else. Yeah, I already answered that question. Okay, good. And see, Bray Wyatt is the future. Oh, yeah. Hell yeah, he's the future. See, other than that, see, what else we got here? Rory says, I would like Curtis Axel to somehow win something. Give the poor guy a shot at something. Let him play WWE 2K15 and I don't know, maybe let him score high up in the leaderboards with number of wins and losses. I don't know, since you want him to be a winner at something, there you go. Let him be a winner at that. That would be kind of interesting. Like if WrestleMania weekend, they say like, hey guys, here's your chance to play against a WWE superstar, WWE 2K15, where this weekend Curtis Axel will play you, or something like that. I think that would be kind of nifty if they did something like that. Wouldn't it make a lot of sense for WWE to do something like that on a side note? Because it's like, that half the roster has got to be into the video games. And yet, according to some shoot interviews that I remember seeing over the years, some of the wrestlers were talking about how, there's kind of like zero tolerance for playing video games and all that, but they love to sneak it in where they can and all that. And it's like, my God, you're using their likeliness and all this other stuff for these games. And I think that'd be kind of awesome if they did like as part of WrestleMania weekend. Maybe it is, maybe it's during WrestleMania Access weekend or whatever. I don't know, but I've never really heard anything about like really cool tournaments going on where you get to fight the actual WWE superstars. Now that's one thing I think WWE should implement, because I remember when that first TNA video game came out years back, a lot of guys on the TNA roster, they would like pick a random weekend or whatever. They were coordinated somehow with, I guess, the marketing department, if there was any in TNA back then. And you used to be able to go online. And it was so cool because I could remember my friends telling me how they played against Samoa Joe, or they played against AJ Styles or Christopher Daniels. And it was like, oh, that's so freaking cool, So I don't know, it gives you some interesting thoughts right there. And other than that, I think we are good to go. All right, so keep those comments coming. Keep posting them down below. And if you have a question, you better hurry up and ask your question. You have literally 1 minute. Williams, pitch your question right now before we go off the air. I'll buy you a little bit of time. All right, so meanwhile, you guys know we're going to have a busy week. WrestleMania weekend of next week. We're going to come on here live, our new RCWR show. We'll try to do a simulcast. I'm going to try to do something here on YouTube, and we'll try to see if maybe we can also be live on Spreaker. And it's going to be a very fun, interactive show. We'll cover WrestleMania Fallout, get you all's input, all that good stuff, whole 9 yards. It's going to be freaking awesome. So make sure you join us for that. And in the meantime, Williams, where's your question? Williams, you're late. You don't have a question. Quick dream match, WrestleMania card that I would like to see. That's a sidetrack. I'll bring that up. If not on next Monday, I'll bring that question up on our radio edition. Some of you guys actually asked me a couple of questions that I addressed over the past 2 radio editions of the RCWR show, including last night. So definitely piggy on back and check that out. I'd love to just keep talking all things wrestling with you guys, but some of us have to get up for work in the morning. I know some of you got to go to work as well, and school and all that good stuff. So we'll shut the show down on that note. Please make sure you give this a thumbs up, as when you do that, you're showing your appreciation and support for us here as YouTube video creators. You can also share this a number of ways by Facebooking it, Google Plusing it, retweeting it. Always one of the many ways you can spread the good word about our content. And in the meantime, that is going to do it. Until next go round, wishing all y'all to be safe, most importantly, be kind to one another. May the good news be yours. Take care.